A fire monster, huh? I like the sound of that. Cinder said, making a flame in her hand. Yeah. It fits you perfect, Cinder. Ruby agreed. Are we sure we want her having any creature capable of large amounts of fire? Ironwood asked. It will be fine, James. Salem may have led Cinder astray, but she's learned from these films and seen the error in the path she had chosen. I truly believe she can be trusted. She might truly deserve to be the Fall Maiden. Ashben assured him. That and it'd probably be a good idea not to piss off whatever fire monster she gets by having to kill her to pass on the maiden powers. Crow added. Well, I hope you'll be on your best behavior for this one, because not only is it have the second most deadly fire in history, but it is also royalty. So prepare to bow. Katana told them, leaving them all shocked, before she played the episode. The screen started out black, before Rage's voice could be heard with a strange echo. Careful, now. You stand before an emperor. Rage declared as an intense, epic rock song about fire was heard as what seemed to be a waterfall of lava trickling down, slowly stopping to reveal the furious-looking face of a monster that looked like a mix between a dragon and a lion, while a huntress looked at the beast from a distance, trying to block the bright lights and heat from the lava everywhere in the area. It was then fully revealed to be a muscular quadrupedal elder dragon with wings and an impressive lion mane with terrifying, gnashing fangs. It growled and stomped forward one step, the ground breaking and lava shooting up from the cracks, not even phasing the creature, before the huntress dropped down to where the Teostra was, the beast letting out a powerful roar, before a toaster was suddenly shown, toast popping up from nowhere. Everybody jumped when the toast suddenly popped up, surprised by the high tension from the scene before, so the suddenness of the toast caught them off guard. They all got a chuckle out of that, though. Well, that's quite an entrance. John said, chuckling a bit. You mean a totally awesome one. That was amazing. That thing had lava running off it. Nora declared. So, that creature is an emperor? Winter asked. That's correct, Winter. Teostra, the Emperor of Flame. And, if that wasn't awesome enough, he's like a hybrid between a dragon and a lion. Katana told them. Yang smirked. I saw that. So, what do you think, Blake? Why? He's a pretty handsome lion, wouldn't you say? She teased, lightly nudging Blake with her elbow. Shut up. Blake told her with a deadpan expression. Everyone's favorite heat blanket is the topic of the day, then. What makes this monster tick? Well, primarily coal, if I'm honest. He goes around eating it, fueling his inferno-like engine and then doing the flame. That's Teostra, so thanks for watching and I'll see you later. Rage gave a small summary on the beast's diet as it gracefully walked along through what seemed to be the inside of a volcanic area as Alia walked alongside it, hopping to small islands to avoid to the small river lava in between. No way. Ruby complained. Surely he must be joking. Ashben stated. After all that build-up, he better be. Crow said. Got that right. That would be a total rip-off. Coco agreed. Okay, look. There's surprisingly not a lot going on with him. Despite being an elder dragon of almost mystical level power and almost intelligence to match a human, he really is just Fire Lion. Rage explained as Alia continued to peacefully follow the beast, before an image of a strange humanoid tiger quickly flew across the screen from right to left. It was a bit fast to make out exactly what that was, but it looked more like a tiger than a lion. Pyrrha stated. That did look pretty cool, though. Looked like something I could spar with. Yang said with a smirk. Ooh. Is that one of your world's pitchermen? Ruby asked. Pokemon, Ruby. Katana corrected. He's so cute. Delvet said, starry-eyed. It's quite fascinating how many things our world has similar to yours, though, Katana. Glinda stated. Though, there's a few little fascinating adaptations that he do. Firstly, though, his attitude. For it really does suit his leonine nature. He is proud, he is very much aware of his place in the food chain, and he revels in it. The old world Teostra aggressive on sight, claiming their territory and wiping out, in a blaze of cinders, any who would step too close, but the new world you could be forgiven for thinking more relaxed. However, they too will dismember and destroy any they perceive as a threat. The issue is, they don't really perceive much as a threat. Rage explained as Alia simply walked by a Teostra resting on a small slope, with strangely romantic-sounding music playing, only to yawn in boredom as the huntress passed by. They are supremely confident in themselves, merely observing hunters as a hunter would an Altaroth, beneath them. He added as Alia turned and looked up at the beast, which looked back down at her again with little interest. And what is an Altaroth exactly? Ren asked. An ant the size of Zvi. Katana answered simply. All the viewers' eyes shot open at that moment, looking to the corgi on Ruby's lap, who let out a bark of happiness that the attention was on him. No. Never. They cannot be allowed on Remnant. I will discover space travel and leave the planet if you bring them to Remnant. Weiss declared. That would be a wonderful achievement, Weiss. I would be happy to help you try and accomplish it. Penny said excitedly. So, you have to give it a little poke and then it will humor you with an agonizing death. He is every bit, on first glance, the Flame King Dragon he is known as. The majestic mane as crimson as his flame proudly adorning his terrifying visage, teeth sharp and long, eyes piercing and blue, incredible senses of both hearing and smell, aware of everything around him. His tail adorned with the same fine hair, scales thick, plated, yet light, too, for he is an incredibly agile monster. Both in the air, he is dominant and on the ground, equipped with a blazing speed. A crown of horns adorns his head to signify his prominence, his majesty as the Emperor of Flame. And flame really is the core here. Rage listed the reasons why a Teostra was not to be trifled with as Alia continued to walk around and observe the beast, before following it as it stood up, walking down into a tunnel with smoke billowing out, indicating it was likely extremely hot inside. That's perfect for Cinder, then. No one can top her fire. Emerald said. You're giving me too much credit, Emerald. You know you don't always have to be a suck-up. Cinder told her. Wow, she really has changed from before all this. Neo giggled, only to silence herself when Cinder pulled out a nature documentary. The only monster that can match and exceed a Teostra's command of this all-consuming element is Fatalis himself. Rage started to explain as Teostra and Alia entered the tunnel, which was revealed to be volcanic as the walls and ceiling were lined with holes allowing magma to seep out. Suddenly, an intimidating black dragon was shown. Yeah. A voice declared triumphantly as if it were supposed to be the dragon itself. And even then, Teostra's fine control is a level above still. Rage noted as Alia finally engaged the dragon in combat, sliding down the slope of the tunnel with a pair of short swords, leaping and spinning with the blades extended, slicing all the way down the beast's back. Fatalis was then shown again. What? The dragon supposedly questioned Rage. Huh. Take that, Fatalis. My glorious Teostra has your flames beat. Cinder taunted. Katana giggled nervously at this. Cinder, a few things. 1. Teostra isn't your monster, yours is closer to the end of the video. 2. Teostra's control is better, that doesn't mean it's stronger. 3. If there's one monster you never taunt, it would be Fatalis. That thing can bully Salem. Katana revealed, horrifying everyone. Surely, you can't be serious. Ironwood said. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. Katana said. Then, can I get Teostra, too, since it's not Cinder's monster? Ruby asked. No, Ruby. Katana told her. Ruby pouted. How could it possibly be more powerful than Salem? Ashbin asked, horrified. You'll have to wait and see. Katana said with an evil grin. You're evil. Everyone in the room shouted. He uses his inferno sac unlike any other, no mere fireballs or simple bursts or beams. He can ignite a pure flamethrower, drenching out and turning all to ash in great swaths of all-consuming blaze. His wings covered in incredibly fine fur, the softest you could imagine to the touch, but no less deadly. He is able to detach these at will. They disintegrate quickly into small particles of light and disperse around him and the battlefield. Using his great wings in majestic beats, he spreads this soon-to-be inferno wherever it needs to be, then ignites it with a titanic snap of his jaw, fangs grinding together, providing the initial spark to set the world on fire. Rage explained as Teostra did indeed release a long stream of flames from its out, as well as flapping its wings, which released clouds of orange dust which exploded after a clack of Teostra's fangs. Incredible. For that turns into fine, explosive powder. There's no way someone could account for that. Pyrrha said. But what happens if it has to scratch itself and scratches the hair into a bunch of powder around itself? Ruby wondered. I'm sure it must have some level of resistance to its own explosions, Miss Rose. After all, it seemed to handle lava with little discomfort. Glinda told her. That just seems unfair. Like, it's lava. How does anything flesh not melt? Coco wondered. Honestly, in terms of both how he fights and, really in a lot of ways, his personality, Teostra is basically. Rage began, before a clip was suddenly shown of a gloved hand snapping, consuming some guy looking to be in his late teens with the word "Your Hunter" superimposed on his head in a massive explosion, fire viciously burning away at him as he screamed in agony. It then showed a man with Teostra's head superimposed over his own as he relentlessly released a rapid fury of snaps that created explosions, continuing to burn away and the man's victim, delivering one more far more powerful explosion with a greater swing of his arm. Everyone was shocked and disturbed at the scene. It took a while, but eventually, Crow spoke up. What did we just see? He asked, almost tempted to start drinking again. That was from an anime Full Metal Alchemist, where people can do incredible things with alchemy. The man with Teostra's head is Roy Mustang, a colonel in their organization who uses flame alchemy with a special transmutation circle on his gloves to create explosions. And the person on the receiving end of those explosions is Envy, a homunculus created with alchemy who's trying to help his creator become a god and take over the world. Katana explained. She could see Ruby opening her mouth, likely to object about how cruel and brutal Roy was being in dealing with Envy. And before any of you criticize Roy for his actions, I want to make it clear that the sick bastard deserved it. As he killed Roy's best friend and sadistically bragged about it. He can shapeshift to change into anyone or anything. He killed Roy's best friend by changing into his wife so he wouldn't dare try to shoot him. And when he taunted Roy about killing him, he even turned into his friend. She added. That's lower than low. Yang growled. Even I wouldn't do that. Neo agreed angrily. Can we continue, please? This is getting a lot darker than I'm sure any of us care for. Cinder said, holding Ruby close and stroking her hair as Ruby shed some tears. According to Katana, Salem was most likely the one who killed her mother and even taunted Ruby about it, and she wanted nothing more than to empty all of her bullets into Salem's face, so she couldn't judge at that moment, either. He, then, is part of a trio of elder dragons, Kushala Daora and Chameleos making the other two. And hopefully, someone in the new world discovers Chameleos is there soon. I just want my Invisi lizard. Rage cried out as Alia dodged around a Teostra charging at her, a couple of pounces, a flamethrower or two and several more explosions from its fur in the air, plus some small eruptions from the ground from Teostra stomps. What are those other two? John asked. Katana showed them a picture of a dragon made of metal and a chameleon dragon. Okay, those are seriously cool, he admitted. That second one almost reminds me of an old friend. Blake admitted, the chameleon making her thing about her old friend in the White Fang, Ilya. A trio? Strange, I thought these elder dragons were territorial and kept to themselves. Ironwood said. They don't really have any connection to each other, but supposedly when one shows up, the other two aren't far away. Katana explained. And in terms of strength, he's very much up there. He's kinda just above average on your elder dragon slider. He's not competing with the heavy hitters, the Amatsus, the black dragons, of course. Even something like an Acantor can very much handle a Teostra, chiefly due to its insane resistance to heat and flame. In fact, anything that can look at lava and go, oh, that's a nice, warm bath is heavily advantaged against Teostra. Because for all their fury, their physical feats aren't too impressive. Sure, of course, they are powerful, they could pin down a rat halos with one paw, but once you get to the meaty monsters. Hell, even a Tigrex could blow for blow on pure physical strength and likely win against a Teostra that holds back its fire. Rage explained as Aelia dodged another round of explosions, plus another flamethrower. The fact there's multiple monsters that can treat lava like a warm bath is shocking and a bit unnerving to me. Penny said. I thought nothing was supposed to mess with an elder dragon, though. That they're too powerful for anything besides Deviljo, Rajong and two others. Weiss pointed out. That is most likely because of their unrivaled power rather than their physical strength. And Rage has appeared to downplay certain monsters before as well. But just because something can outmatch you, doesn't mean it's guaranteed they will. Winter reminded her sister. But the thing is, it does have that fire, that is the point, and it pours off him. A flame aura coats him, singeing any that come near. That aura coats him steadily as he heats up internally, combusts more and more, the glow spreading throughout his body, emanating in his majesty, lighting up the darkest night with the most brilliant internal flame. And this sheathes him in his fire and his body as it starts to rev and rev, it builds, increasing in ever-blazing intensity, until he is coated head to toe in his own blast powder, the wing-fine furs all but expended as he goes for the kill, diving into you, a comet of flesh and fury. Rage declared as Aelia leapt onto the beast's back, stabbing it with a pair of small knives, occasionally jumping back and forth between its head and back as it tried multiple means to throw her off. So you're gonna be hard-pressed to even get near it, Crow said. And he starts leaving that powder everywhere, so there's almost no safe place to be around him. Ren added. Ah, yeah. That just means it'd be an explosion battle. My grenades against his bomb fur, Nora declared. Nora, I'm pretty sure he'd be immune or resistant to explosions, since he constantly makes them around himself. Velvet reminded her. And then, once he cannot take it anymore, once he would burn away himself, such is the sheer force he emits. Well, he raises into the air and ignites every single scrap all at once, his entire body becoming a living bomb, expending in giant supernova, too illustrious to look at, too incandescent to be beheld directly as it bursts outwards, cascading and lashing the battlefield in molten death. In one pure moment, the temperature rises such that rock itself melts away, that hunters caught in it are reduced to puddles of nothing, and then Teostra lands, having decimated all and everything, proudly roars to himself at his wrath unleashed and returns to his calm, or at least his calmest state, dull as a fire with water having been freshly poured upon it, and waits for the engine to tick once more. The supernova is one of the most impressive attacks of any monster. A feat unlike any other, almost magical in its output. Rage warned of the attack as Teostra was indeed seen rising into the air and creating a massive explosion that Aelia survived, only to pass out from the heat. Incredible. To be able to create an explosion like that and be right at the center of it, but survive completely unharmed. It's amazing. Cinder declared in amazement, stars in her eyes almost like Ruby when she sees a new weapon, which got a laugh from the sniper girl. And it matches your explosive temper. Yang teased. Oh, hi there, Kettle. Name's Pot, have we met? Cinder countered with a smirk. Everyone was shocked at this. Cinder told a joke. Emerald said in shock. And she dissed someone without being directly insulting. Neo said happily. Ah, she's becoming a part of the group. Yang said happily, pulling Cinder into a bone-crushing hug. How has Ruby survived this long? Cinder groaned in pain, trying to push Yang off of her. This is the greatest day we've had since joining Beacon. Nora declared. All right, children. That's quite enough. If you want to have your monsters by the end of today, I suggest we keep watching. Glinda said. She wanted her monster, too, thank you very much. Teostra really is a magnificent beast, fit for the title of Emperor that he bears. Able to fine-tune just how far he sends his dust flying before the ignition, able to accurately predict where his fire will wreathe for maximum efficiency. He definitely has pride as a fatal flaw, but he does not let that stop him from being as precise in combat as any given creature can be. Brutal elder dragons wreathed in flames that spit blazing fire. Teostra of such fearsome, deadly nature that they are known to attack towns and are monitored at all times. Expert control of fire with a breath of flame. This is a brutal male dragon of a vile temperament. Any who approach it are subject to hell and brimstone. Rage finished teaching about Teostra as Aelia continued fighting the beast on the slope where they first met, dodging its fire breath and explosions. Truly a mighty and fantastic beast. Ozpin said. Indeed. Its power is quite terrifying, but also somewhat awe-inspiring. And its striking visage, I could see being used as inspiration for many things in the future. Glinda said with a smile. But wait. He just said that Teostra are only male. Blake stated. That would make sense if they're known as the Emperor of Flame. Ren agreed. Then that must mean there's a female, as well. The Empress. Para realized. And that's my monster? Cinder asked, Katana nodding in confirmation. But what is an emperor without an empress? Lunastra. Rage declared as a new huntress with white hair tied into a bun in the back crawled through a small hole in the wall, leading to some kind of arena, where a visibly wounded Teostra laid in the middle of, sleeping to rest and recover. And Lunastra doesn't take kindly to her mate being hunted successfully by Nergigant and she rushes to his aid. Rage added as the Teostra woke up and looked to the sky, roaring weakly as a Nergigant dove down through an opening in the roof above, landing and roaring at its intended prey. Oh, no. That Teostra's injured. John said worriedly. Leave him alone, you meanie. Ruby snapped. It's a shame, but it's a strategically sound idea. Taking down an injured enemy is easier. There's less risk to the predator and they waste much less effort taking on an exhausted, defenseless opponent. Ironwood explained. That huntress. Weiss said. She could pass for a Schnee. Possibly even mother when she was younger. Winter stated. That's Ciri. She's a witcher from another universe. I guess she's basically a huntress, but with stuff just as crazy as these monsters. Katana explained. Each will fiercely defend the other to the death, albeit just during mating season. For without it, they are seldom seen as one and very much lone wanderers, but when they do come together, when they do meet eye to eye, it is one of the most breathtaking sights in the world. But, every bit as threatening as it is breathtaking. Rage declared as the Nergigant roared in aggression, before the two began circling each other, but the Teostra with a visible limp. The Nergigant took a swipe at it, but it leapt back to avoid it. Ciri stepped forward in concern, only for a blue blur to drop beside her, knocking her down. The Nergigant tried to pounce on Teostra to finish the wounded beast, but the mysterious creature slammed into it, forcing it across the floor a ways, before leaping back beside Teostra, revealing itself in all its glory. Fascinating. They're almost the same, yet they have clear differences to tell them apart. Cinder noted. Not surprising. Lions in our world as well are very different, such as the males being significantly larger and having a prominent mane. Glinda stated. Indeed. It seems Lunastra is the one more built for combat, however, as her chin ends in a bit of a spike and is uncovered. And its crest seems more fit for doing damage than Teostra's horns. Ozpin pointed out. After a short standoff, the Nergigant tried to attack Lunastra, but she leapt back to avoid it. This enraged Teostra, however, who lunged forward to try and protect his mate and punish its former predator for daring to attack said mate, but missed. Nergigant attempted its slam again, but was wide open to another charge from Lunastra, knocking it back, the Lunastra roaring in both fury and as a warning, letting the Nergigant know there would be no mercy next time. Nergigant got up and roared angrily, but realized that not only had it now lost the advantage of dealing with a single wounded opponent, but in fact it was now outmatched by the two of them, even if one was injured and it was forced to flee. Not so tough when you're not dealing with an injured target, huh, Nergigant? Yang taunted. And it's 2-on-1. Blake pointed out. Meh. Who cares? We take on numbers bigger than ours all the time. Nora said dismissively. Still, for monsters roughly the same size and likely similar strength, 2 opponents would be impossible. Ran told her. Teostra and Lunastra were then seen in some underground desert cave, flying and running around wildly to attack Aelia as she desperately evaded their combined assault. It's an incredibly rare event for an Emperor and Empress of Flame to hold court. Normally, hatred brews between them, but every so rarely, the need of all animals to continue their genus takes over and they must see and deem each other worthy. The beautiful dance that they engage in to test the mettle, the flame of their potential mate, is both terrifying and gorgeous to behold, leaving all but them burnt to a cinder, indiscriminately laying waste and converting the lands to ash. Each tests the other if they are worthy of continuing the royal bloodline. Rage declared with an echoed, ominous voice as Lunastra and Teostra suddenly turned their attention towards each other, flying together, before landing and unleashing their full power, a massive explosion from Teostra and incredibly wide-reaching heatwave coupled with small fires all around from Lunastra as a woman vocalized and a choir sang. Everyone was amazed at this, both red and blue flames dancing across the area as these two beasts tested their flames against each other could only be described as majestic by Cinder, RWBY, Pyrrha, Ozpin and both Shnees. They're so beautiful. Cinder said in awe and wonder. It's like watching a graceful ballet or figure skating show, only with fire. Weiss said, equally amazed. It's amazing, Cinder. RWBY said delightedly as she held Cinder's hand while watching, getting a blush from the former villain. It is truly marvelous. Winter agreed. Agreed. And I'm thankful we got to see it so close in all its glory. Pyrrha added. And without having to feel the actual heat from both of them releasing all their flames at once. Somehow, I doubt that would feel pleasant. Weiss said. Indeed. Nature can be both infinitely intriguing, but also endlessly terrifying and dangerous. Ozpin said. That could likely clear an entire battlefield of Grimm. Penny said in amazement. Lunastra was then shown as Teostra flew away to recharge. But not only was Lunastra not finished, but she released a second, somehow even hotter wave of fire than the first time, letting out a couple roars of pride and challenge as Aelia stood and faced her. Lunastra, then, the Flame Princess Dragon. The blue to Teostra's red, also adorned with a crown-like horn crest fit for a queen, she is every bit his equal and, in all honesty, his superior. She is loyal and she is quite capable of walking through an entire army. The New World specimens exemplify this, adapted to producing a flammable liquid instead of the blast powder. They can send it spiraling, leaving pools of unstable, ever-burning blue flame that can be fanned and sent exploding with the addition of extreme heat she provides. Rage, declared as the peak of a mountain in a volcanic region, was shown as Lunastra suddenly rose up from below the peak, landing on it and roaring in fury, warning anyone in the area to leave as this was now her domain. His superior? John asked, shocked. Yeah, she's a bit stronger than him and a bit more durable. Whereas Teostra outright loses to Nergigant, Lunastra will still lose, but it's a closer fight. Katana explained. Well, that is quite satisfying. Winter said with a smirk. It is nice to see a bit of girl power with monsters. Blake agreed. Did you guys forget Adelka eats all the guys? Neo reminded them. Hotter still than Teostra is her internal engine, and it roars almost as loudly as she does. It is a mean feat worthy of praise to have even been able to have set foot near the Empress. An audience of which leaves most reduced to ash. Lunastra and Teostra together are much greater than the sum of their parts. A Nergigant could handle each individually, but together there is very little chance that anything in the New World, at least that we know about currently, could hold its own. They really do bring out the best in one another. Even if that best kinda involves rampage murdering every other living thing in sight, like it's some kind of fucked up foreplay ritual. Rage explained as Aelia continued to face off against Lunastra and Teostra in the desert. Whoa. That's one impressive power couple. Coco said, impressed. Although, I really hope that foreplay ritual isn't a thing. Velvet said uncomfortably. What's foreplay? Ruby asked. Don't you dare. Yang warned the upperclassman. I'll tell you when you're older, kiddo. Crow told her. But that aside, Lunastra is simply just gorgeous in her deadly displays. Her supernova, unlike her mates, not a single explosion, but an intense radiation of unfathomable heat. To even be near her during this eclectic display is to feel your entire body being drained of life. Hers is a field of fire, wherever she walks, pools of shining light pouring out in an explosive cacophony. The battlefield that she presides over is one that no one wants to find themselves locked within. Never mind her equally brutal physical attacks that she shares with Teostra, simply existing near her is a challenge worthy of only the most skilled and most feared hunters. Essentially, Lunastra is very much the Azula of the monsters. Rage explained as Aelia was shown in the desert evading only Lunastra this time, before showing a clip of a girl in strange red and black armor with Lunastra's head superimposed over hers throwing kicks that somehow send out waves of intense blue fire. Whoa! Who was that? Emerald asked in shock. While she couldn't see the girl's face, the display of fiery power was reminding her a lot of Cinder. Princess Azula of the Fire Nation. They are capable of taking in the heat and light of the sun, mixing it with their breathing and creating flames with firebending, generally used to shoot simply fireballs or streams of flame from their hands, but it is incredibly versatile and can also be shot from their feet or even their mouths. And Azula is an absolute prodigy, which is why her flames are blue, because they're so much hotter than the garden variety of most other firebenders. And she is one of the handful of people that can shoot lightning. She used to be evil, but then Sai made her see the light. Katana explained. Incredible. Why said in awe, almost wishing she could do the same, but with ice. So, what did you think? Katana asked. Teostra was very interesting, but Lunastra truly seemed incredible. That level of fire control with such a range. I'm not sure I'd be that powerful even with the full maiden powers. Cinder said. I want a blast Y lion dragon. Nora declared. Either that powder or Lunastra's flammable liquid could be an incredible asset. We may even be able to replace dust ammo with the blast powder, and the liquid could be put into missiles, or simply just in bullheads and dumped over a swarm of Grimm, before being ignited. Ironwood declared. Do you ever think about anything besides war and weapons? Crow asked. It is a bit concerning, James. We know you have the best interests in mind, but all work and no play makes a dull general. Glinda told him. The same could be said for you, Winter. Your devotion to your role is admirable, but there are also times to relax and take your mind off your duties. Ozpin added. I suppose you're right. It has cost me quite a lot of time with my sister. Winter admitted, pulling Weiss in for a hug. All right, then. A friend of mine just reminded me about a type of monsters I think you all would really enjoy. Katana said, playing the next episode.